I'm Ryan McEachern, and welcome to episode 36 of The Dig. On this week's episode, I'll be speaking with James Reble, Business Development Manager at Elevate Finance. Elevate is partnered with Export Development Canada to provide finance solutions to customers of Canadian small and medium-sized businesses, including mining suppliers. And we'll finish things off with our popular 6 and 60. So let's get to it. What if you had that perfect opportunity to really be a game changer for your sales? You have the perfect customer and they want and need your product, but they just can't find the money to pay for it. You could set up a payment plan, but that assumes great working capital and cash flow. What if you could provide them buyer side financing that would get you paid now and leave the payment plan to somebody else? Well, that is exactly what my next guest does for companies in that situation. Let's dig in now with James Reble from Elevate Finance.
Hello, James. Welcome to The Dig.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So before we get into kind of the details, can you give us a little bit about, the history of how Elevate Finance was actually created?
Absolutely. So Elevate Finance, we launched about 5 years ago, and we are a Canadian-based trade finance company based out of Toronto and with a presence on the West Coast in Vancouver and working with Canadian exporters across the country. But really, when we launched 5 years ago, we became a partner with Export Development Canada to work with them and support Canadian small and medium-sized exporters, including in the mining space. And our work with them is to provide buyer financing, so financing for the international customers of Canadian exporters for sales and projects up to $10 million US.
Right.
And so that fits a large snack bracket of the small and medium-sized Canadian companies, obviously selling around the world and having a package for them to go to market with, great Canadian equipment they're selling and product, and as well a financing package to go along with it. And we launched and became this partner with EDC because there really aren't a lot of players who are supporting some of these smaller transactions, and our team, and co-founders and investor group are, have a lot of experience working within executive and senior levels at EDC and as well in cross-border finance. So, it's a great opportunity to, achieve our goal and mutual mission with EDC, which is, helping Canadian companies, grow their export sales, grow their business abroad. So, that's a little bit of a background and flavor on, what we're up to and, sort of what we're doing.
Right. So, you talked about the top range of $10 million. How low would you go into a transaction? Because I know a lot of suppliers can have a smaller dollar amount than 10 million. I'm sure they would love to have 10 million, but
yeah, absolutely. So we really start looking at transactions around 250,000 US and up. So a lot of the deals we do are around $500,000, into the low $1 million range. And we're talking about, a bundled up couple different equipment supply, and up to obviously that higher level on a full package of different supply around the world. So about 250,000 and up is kind of where we're playing.
Okay. And you mentioned the relationship with EDC. So how is that a real benefit for you to, I'm assuming they're backing it or underwriting the.
Yeah, absolutely. So we work pretty closely with EDC in the sense that, we both have the same mission of helping Canadian businesses that are either new exporters, provide them with a bunch of options that can make them competitive internationally, and as well existing exporters grow, the book of business abroad. So we work pretty closely, and if it's not a fit for the direct financing we offer, we can connect EDC with that particular Canadian mining supplier and get them an option. EDC supports Elevate on the back end and gives us the ability we have to to provide our financing internationally at competitive rates and across a whole range of different countries around the world. So that's kind of how we work together, and we leverage each other's experience internationally and connections to really help as many Canadian companies as we can.
Right, right. So I'm a supplier. I've got this prospect internationally that wants to buy my product, and so how's this work? What do I do?
Absolutely. So the first thing we like to do is we like to have a conversation with the supplier and understand the product they're selling, where this prospect is internationally, and kind of get an understanding of the business model so that we can make sure we're in line with the financing that we're going to be providing to the Canadian supplier's international customer. From there, we do all of the work with the international company that's buying from Canada, and we go through a due diligence process with them. So it's a easy, hassle-free experience for the Canadian company. We do all of the review on the financing and get that set up with their company. But the first thing is, getting connected with the Canadian exporter and making sure they understand, how to leverage the financing in their sales pitch. Having that in the back pocket can be really lucrative when competing against international competition who are offering terms and financing. And then from there, we would work directly with their customer, and go through that process so that the Canadian companies can focus on selling, the product they're selling, and we'll take care of the financing and put a package together for them that'll help them, close their sale.
Right, right. So what and you mentioned the term. So how long of a term are we talking about? These are basically loans that you would give to the buyer.
Correct. Yeah. So we are looking at up to 5-year terms for the companies internationally. So allowing those international customers to manage their cash flow, and spread the upfront CapEx cost over a longer term. And one of the great things, that we're able to do is we work in, I think we are around our, 20th country we've done a financing in. We have a huge presence across South and Central America. We've done financings into most of those countries, and we're seeing a lot of growth there in the mining industry. We're also active in the U.S., parts of Africa, increasingly in kind of Middle East and Southeast Asia. So we can work with Canadian companies and really be able to provide this financing, in a lot of places we active in. And it's, great to have in the back pocket as a salesperson for these mining suppliers, to be able to offer an up to 5-year financing for your customer.
Right. And so from a cash flow perspective, once you've agreed that, the terms are done, the deal is basically signed by the buyer, like how much cash can I actually receive almost immediately? How's that work?
Yeah. So for the Canadian mining suppliers that are selling abroad, we are also covering payment risk. So we are funding and paying out the Canadian company 100% at the time of shipment. And we're setting up the financing in advance so that when you're closing your order and your POs, the financing in place so that the trigger for payment, 100% of product shipped is paid at the time of shipment. So in addition to providing a longer term for the customers internationally, we're also providing the Canadian exporter with peace of mind that they're going to get paid, 100% of the value once the product is shipped.
Right. And that's the exciting part, being able to get paid now and encouraging a buyer to want to actually transact and buy my widget, if you will, is a pretty exciting option to have. So
Absolutely.
do you have like a real world kind of example you could share so we can kind of make this a little more concrete to our viewers?
Absolutely. So we've got, we've worked in Mexico, for example, supporting a multi-million-dollar sale of mining equipment. So we supported a Canadian exporter out of Sudbury selling to a mid-tier mine, in an established mid-tier mine in Mexico, and gave them a 5-year financing for a multi-million-dollar supply of mining equipment. We're also pretty active. We've done transactions in Chile and Peru for some of the mining contractors there that are servicing some of the big players in the space. So we're pretty active with mining contractors around the world, who are looking to finance their, the mining equipment they're bringing on, and as well with some of the mid-tier mining companies, that are looking for other options to finance some of the equipment and supply they're bringing in from Canada.
Right. Well, this is a pretty interesting option for suppliers to be aware of. How does somebody get in touch with you if they've got an idea that might really fit with this model?
Yeah, well, obviously we're lucky to have, friends in the space like yourself, Ryan. So, through you, otherwise through our website, elevatefinance.ca, all of our contact information, and connections are up on our website. So, either through yourself or online through our website, again, elevatefinance.ca.
Excellent. Well, James, it's been a real pleasure having you on the dig. Thanks for taking the time to share what I think is a really interesting option for our viewers to take advantage of. So thank you again for being on the dig.
Thanks for having me on, Ryan.
Now it's time for 6 and 60. Let's take a look at the biggest stories affecting the mining industry today. Teck Coal is facing a $60 million fine after pleading guilty to releasing selenium and calcite in 2012 into the Elk and Fording rivers in British Columbia. The Oyu Tolgoi mine declared force majeure on copper concentrate deliveries due to COVID-19 related shipment delays at the Chinese-Mongolian border. Nexa Resources restarted the San Gerardo open pit mine in Peru after a blockade set up by a local community was suspended. Roxgold has awarded preferred contractor status to Lycopodium Minerals for the Seguela Gold Project in Cote d'Ivoire. The U.S. Department of Energy announced a new goal to slash the average unsubsidized cost building utility-scale solar by 60% by 2030. And finally, Anglo American joined a public-private partnership to complete a feasibility study for the development of hydrogen production hubs in South Africa. And that is your 6 and 60. That's it for this week's show. I'd like to thank our guest, James Reble from Elevate Finance. Follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter at Mining Suppliers. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel to get instant access to the latest episode and past episodes of The Dig. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, I'm Ryan McEachern. Take care and stay safe.